So you've got water in your car, the carpets are wet, you've already experienced a bit of dampness, maybe a bit of mould, maybe a bit of smell, steamed up windows, but we can't fit you in maybe. You've tried a couple of other garages and you now need to manage your car with the water. You still need to go to work and you don't have other cars, or you do have other cars and you think, what do I do about this wet car? You might have called the local garage to see what, you've had a look online and you draw a blank and you need to manage your car. So this video is all about getting booked in and then managing it between now and then, and whether you drive it or whether you don't. So I can't tell you individually whether you should or shouldn't drive your car if it has water in it. Some cars you can drive around potentially. We've spoken to people that have had their cars with wet carpets and managed their cars for quite some time. Other people ring us and say they've got electronic problems and it could even be safety related. So I'm not the judge and jury. You need to make up your mind and do your homework on your car. But I can tell you a few cars to avoid. Avoid driving them with water in. I'm talking about hybrid cars. We've had one or two Lexuses in, the batteries and all of those things, they don't like water. So fully electric cars, to be honest with you, there's been a few, but they are even more, difficult to manage with water in, It's the electrics that are one of the problems. You have corrosion under carpets because they don't make cars rust-proof from the inside out. They rust-proof them from the outside in. So it's not a long-term thing, not in my experience. If you've got an older car and it may be that you just need to get it through for one more year, maybe. But if you have, the best way to do it is to get it under a canopy or in the garage, clean the garage out, whatever you've got to do, or in an underground car park or a multi-storey car park or somewhere where you're parking it and it isn't getting rain for the bulk of the time. So a thing that a lot of people go wrong with is they focus on trying to dry it when it isn't fixed. And so you're continually putting the heater on the ground, putting it on low, putting all the adjustments, rubbing it dry, whatever you're doing, getting the dehumidifier and all of that. And actually you're pushing the water from the carpet into the air and steaming up your windows even more. So my best advice is that if you're going to decide to drive your car, you need to check your electrics. Of course, make sure your hazards works and indicators. There might be some quirky things happen. Sometimes water can cause quirky things, so you need to be aware of that. You need to know that if you're going to drive it to and from work and one day you get in here and there's water everywhere because it's rain, you need to still be aware that you need to make sure your electrics are working and that the things that are safety related are working. So you've got an airbag light come up on the dashboard, that's possibly related to the water. So if you're going to drive it, let's tell you about the practical things you can do. First of all, you can have your heating up high. You don't have to cook yourself. You can put the heating control to the warmer side, and then you can put your air conditioning on as well. So you can have it coming out warm, but it's air-conditioned air, meaning the air is drier. A lot of cars do this automatically when you put it on the up because it clears the glass quicker. So regulate that. Don't have it on the circulate setting because people do. You think, circulate the air within, and you're driving around in a sauna. You've got to bring fresh air in. So up high, fresh air button. It's the half moon one that tells you if you press it, it shuts the flap. It's the one that you press if you're stuck behind a dirty lorry or if you're in a tunnel. So you want to the light for that is you want it off so that you're getting fresh air in. You need to have high speed air and you need to direct it to the screen, and also these little side vents next to your side glass, direct it to the side glass. So you can undo those. The middle ones you don't need to work, so you can close those so you get more air on the side ones. Also get yourself a few cloths. You want drying cloths, you want a few towels, old towels, change them over just so you haven't got water solution around. If you're in the boot of the car and you've got a wet spare wheel area, sometimes you can get that spare wheel out and put a grommet through so that the water will flow away. Other times you might just wedge it or the back of the car at the back in the boot where the water might go over that threshold. What I mean is lift up your boot carpet if your footwell's full of Your boot well's full of water. You don't want that water going over to your footwell. So wedge some towels in there. Try to avoid letting the water move around. You might even put some towels around the spare wheel and then switch them out. Just switch them out. So don't park the car under a cover for 2 weeks, because you'll find it will get full of mould and you'll get all sorts of other issues. If you've got a bit of mould already, you need to watch our mould video, but just a couple of bits of advice. You might be looking at the headlining and there's mouldy bits. Don't be driving that car with that, like that. I can tell you, I speak to many people each year that are ill because they're thinking, oh, it's only a bit of mould. You need to get the mould cleaning kit and clean it and make sure there's no mould. It goes on the seat belts. Check in the back, have a good look, tip the seats backwards and forwards. Don't stick your head down underneath and start trying to smell it, because mould gets into you by you smelling it. So look for it, treat it with respect. If you're going to drive it, you need to make sure that's clean, even if you're bringing the car to us, because driving a car around with a mould can be another story. You can get flu, and it's not flu, but it's flu-like symptoms, and it's not nice. So I'll give you a quick recap. You need to regulate your air, understand how that works, get the manual out or get somebody to show you the heating. Cook yourself a bit more than you normally would if you need to. Get the fan running so when you're still, don't be driving steamed up. Get a cloth, wipe those windows. Make sure that all your lights are working and all your electrics and everything seem okay. And don't keep parking it up and down, because you could park it down one day or up one day, and that's where the water goes. So you need to try to park it at work flat and at home flat, if that's the way you've been parking it. And if you've got a hybrid or an electronic car, then I'd advise just don't use it, because we've seen cars that people have carried on driving them and it gets more expensive as you go along. There's an electronic device, battery things and all the charger things and all sorts under there, and they get wet, and then you get a dashboard lights come up, and then you're not driving it anyway. So don't leave it under sheets. You can put it under a sheet for a long weekend. Yes, you can do that, because it's pouring down. Otherwise, get clean in your garage, and get it in the garage, or get it round mum's house, put it in her garage, whatever you got to do. You can even tape up. People have asked me this. You think it's coming from the sunroof, or if you've got it coming out from up there somewhere, there's a chance. So you can get some duct tape, tape around the sunroof. If it stops it coming in, you're some way there. We know then when we get it, we can take that off and find out why it's coming in, but it might help you. Don't leave the duct tape on for 3 months, by the way, you guys. Take it off and replace it, because it makes a terrible mess and you can't get it off. There are other tapes, if you go online, that help waterproof things, so it might temporarily get you out of trouble. All right? Amazing.